So initially it was a thesis film for NYU when I was there, grad film, good old NYU. We did the short, and it got into Sundance, and in the process of it getting into Sundance, my agent introduced me to Michelle Satter with the Sundance Institute, who invited us, me and my co-writer, QA Young, to apply for the labs. And we got into the labs, and it really helped to elevate the script to the next level. And in the process, we met with a bunch of investors, and um, which landed with the right investor who believed in the story, and it kind of like went from there. The initial, the premise of where I got the film from was just a lot of friends and family members who went through the criminal justice system that I knew, who had issues reintegrating back into society, and I wanted to make a film to shed light on that. And then I also did documentaries. I was a documentarian in the criminal justice system for many years. So just seeing that aspect, and just seeing from my community where we filmed.
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, just a beautifully written script. I think so much heart, so much soul. It made me feel a whole bunch of things. Um, Adjacent to that, I was able to watch the short film, and yeah, right away I knew that this was like, the filmmaker that was meant to tell this story. I could tell just the level of care, thought, attention to detail that Rashad had put into it. That he was special, and after our first initial conversations, it really struck me as, you know, I'm on the same page as this guy. I understand what he's trying to say with this film, and so yeah, ultimately was just honored, that he asked me to be a part of it.
Yeah, so the labs played a major part in really getting the script to where, we wanted, where it needed to be. You know, we met with a lot of amazing advisors. We got a lot of notes. It took us literally 2 years to write this feature. And the thing is, like, we really didn't want to rush. Like, I'm big on not rushing. Um, and we took our time, and what I loved about the institute, they were always there. Even during production, they were always there, just a phone call away, just an email away, to really help support the project in any which way possible, whether it be like finding additional crew members, or advice during situations. So yeah, it was extremely um, supportive, and I'm truly honored that this film, has its home here at Sundance and Sundance Institute. Yes, so I got the email for that. I want to say a couple months ago that the film won that Michael Latt grant, and I was, knowing what Michelle went through and the family went through. Um, I really, was just truly humbled and honored, that this film was supported by that grant, and it was, that along with the Sundance Institute has just been extremely supportive, especially in the story of just showing an ex-offender really trying to reintegrate back into society, but there's so many, roadblocks that he's facing, and this is like, I've known so many people that went through this, so I'm truly honored from the Michael Latt grant. The fund goes towards post production. It helped us in post production and promotion, I believe. Yep. That's more of a producer question, but they just say you won the grant, and it's that. But yeah, either way, it was you know for a good cause in the film.
Yeah, I mean, I think initially it was, a lot of conversations with Rashad, with Lin Q. We really wanted to try and figure out the layers of who this guy was. And so we talked a lot about mental health. We talked a lot about anxiety, PTSD, and just coping with those things, when while trying to reacclimate into civilian life. And I would say a big source of inspiration for me, um, was the story of Khalif Browder, a young man in New York City, who was sent to prison because he allegedly stole a pair of shoes. And, he ended up doing 2 years in solitary confinement, which just didn't make any sense. And so I fell in love with just his story and what he went through, the process of him, trying to reacclimate back into life, how that affected him, how that affected his family members. Um, and I think I tried to tie all of that in to what it meant to be Ricky. I think, so often we see these stories, um, or we see the headlines rather, but we never get to see the story behind it, and to be able to have empathy for it and understanding. And so, being a part of Ricky just struck me as an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, so I really, because like I said, I did documentary for a very long time, and it's a big influence in what I do creatively, even in narrative. And I wanted to incorporate that aspect in the film. And I interviewed me and some my co-producer. We interviewed a lot of ex-offenders, and Kamal Browder. I was honored that he wanted to be a part of this film, especially knowing what the story was about and being a family member and seeing what his younger brother went through. So I really wanted to incorporate that into this film to not, like narratives are great, but I really wanted to add that documentary aspect into the film apart from the camera work. I casted actual, excuse me, actual ex-offenders in this film, and they were even consultants like Felix, who was one of the ex-offenders. I asked him. He did a lot of time. He'd seen a lot of things. So apart from just people that I knew most of my life, and he would just give great notes in regards to keeping that authenticity in the film. So the biggest learning curve for me is I learned my process as a director more. I learned um, the do's and don'ts for myself in regards to directing, and even working with actors, top tier actors like Stefan. Because he has his process, and then it's like, it's kind of like it's like a dance, and both like coming together and making this film. But learning my process as a director, I really learned in this because I made shorts for a long time. I made feature films, but as a cinematographer, I'm an editor. I've been editing for years, so I've done all of those other aspects. But to direct a feature, this was my first. So in that, my process as a director for a long form, that's what I learned. Yeah. So my hope with this film is that the audience members, have empathy for ex-offenders who are positively trying to reacclimate into society. Like I said, I lost a lot of friends of mine, family members who went through the system. They got out and they couldn't, get to that next level because of this what they had over their head, and unfortunately, going back to their old ways, and they're no longer here with us. So it's just more so having empathy, you know what I mean, and possibly looking at second chances, and things like things like that.
I'm grateful. I'm blessed. I'm honored. I hope that that this film continues to to challenge the perspective of individuals that watch it. Um, that it asks questions and raises conversations about our legal system, the justice system, how we're dealing with youth who are being incarcerated, and how we're helping them reacclimate back into civilian life once that's over. I mean, nobody is the same at 15 years old as they are at 30 years old. And so I think to really have that discussion about just the evolution of human life and second chances and rehabilitation is super important. So just glad to be a part of that conversation.